Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're working back on the 52 Chevy project. This time we're continuing on with the front panel replacement, and we're going to get that completely welded in place and finished up in this video. Last week's video, we're actually able to get the entire creased panel off of the truck, get all the panels we needed to get made situated, so that's all taken care of. So in this video, we're going to weld the inner structure back in. We're going to prime inside behind the panel and get the final panel welded in place. So we've got a lot of work to do, so let's get to it. All right, so right now I took off this inner structure here. This is welded into place right now. It's nicely welded in. What I need to do now is I need to clean up this section here and this section here. To get this, probably weld this down and along here and then grind this all out here so it's all nicely flush. Probably won't really see it, but I just want to make sure it's all nicely finished off. Alrighty, so I have this all touched up with the welder. What we're going to do now is we're just going to continue grinding this smooth again. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't have any edges of metal showing. This is all tacked into place now, so that won't go anywhere. It's fully welded on the inside. I just threw some tacks on the inside here. We're going to paint all this anyway, so it should be sealed up nicey nice. So right now I'm going to take the flap wheel with the ceramic disc and just re-smooth this all out again. We'll see how this comes out. This edge came out absolutely perfect right now. I've got it nicely smoothed out and rounded out all the way around, but this isn't going anywhere. This came out really good. So the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out this panel right here, get that fully welded into place. Once that's fully welded into place, I'm gonna paint everything and get the outside panel put on. Let's give you a little close-up of what this actually looks like. I've got this all nicely smoothed out right around the edges here. There's no more overhang from the kick panel or the floor. That's all been welded up and smoothed out with the grinder on the flap wheel. Everything is ready to go, moving right along. We've got the lower panel all patched up right now. It's not fully pretty in there, but it's all closed in, no more rot. New replacement panels made. So we need to get this inner structure panel right here welded into place. You can see no more overhang right here. Nice 90-degree edge right there. Bring it over to the passenger side and show you what it looks like before. You can see I have an overhang right here. So we're gonna weld along in here and just grind this all down too, just like the driver's side, but this will be next. This side's coming out really good. Right now we've got this entire inner structure completely welded into place. All the holes are patched down here on both sides. This is welded in all along the top side and the bottom side. So right now I'm just going to take the grinder, just clean up some of the spots around here just a little bit, not too much. Take the wire wheel inside here, clean up all this little rusted area up in here. We're going to have to get this all sprayed down. We'll probably spray this down with just some Rust-Oleum or something, nothing fancy, just to get this coated with something on the metal at least so it doesn't rust in the future. Hopefully no moisture gets in here, but if it does, we want it to at least be somewhat coated all around in this area in here. Man, this thing really got me good. Right in the finger. Hit the wheel with the tip of my finger here. Man, that doesn't feel pretty. So right now I'm just going to use the compressed air and blow out anything in here that needs blowing out, just to make sure that it's all nicely cleaned out before we spray. All right, so right now I'm just gonna tape up the surfaces we don't want to get paint on. So I've got it all taped up right now. I'm gonna throw some stuff down on the floor. I'm ready to get to spraying this. I gotta go see what paint I have. I've got something we can spray in there. All right, so I've got 3 different flavors of stuff we're gonna spray here. First one is just a self-etching primer. That's what we're gonna spray the majority of the inside with. The surfaces that we don't wanna get paint on right now, we're gonna take that tape off, and I've got a zinc weld-through primer. That'll seal this all up nice and neat. And then I've got some rubberized undercoating. We might just spray on the main surface in here, just as an added protection because I have the stuff, might as well use it. So right now we've got this entirely primed in here, which is nice. I'm gonna spray a little bit of rubberized undercoating in here, just because it's open right now, just to give it a little extra protection. Probably not needed at all. Then we're gonna prepare the panel for tacking it into place. So right now we're gonna take the tape off, and we're gonna weld through prime all the surfaces we're actually gonna be welding to. I still don't wanna get rubberized coating on them. So now we're just going to spray these areas down with the weld-through primer. You can't find this stuff in a lot of places, but I found it at Napa, sells it. 7221 Zinc Weld-Through Primer by Technique. It's the brand I'm using here. Now we know all the metal is 100% protected. When we close this up, it's all primed, rubberized undercoated inside. Underneath where we're welding is going to be completely primed with the weld-through primer. So this should be rock solid when we're done with this thing. I'm going to let this dry right now. I'm going to get a fan on this, and we're going to prep the panel to get that put on right there. So right now we're going to use the flap wheel on the grinder here to clean up the edges of this panel that slide in underneath the cowl. So right along here, this slides up underneath the cowl. So we need to clean all this paint off. Earlier, this thing freaking bit me right in the middle finger, and it shoved some plastic about a ½ inch underneath my middle fingernail. So that was fun getting that out. But now I think my finger's all back to normal now, so we're going to continue on here. We need to drill holes all along here, and then this thing will be ready to cleco up into place and weld it in. Grab my ½ inch belt sander to get in these little crevices a little better. I got my ½ inch belt sander here just to get in the little gaps here that we couldn't really easily get into, in these grooves here. Got this all cleaned up along here. We're going to be welding all along up in here. There we go. It's all punched all the way along here. All right, so we're gonna get this cleaned up with the belt sander just around where all the holes are. So we know that's where we're gonna be welding. We need to get that paint cleaned up. Now we have this entirely prepped for clecoing back on and welding the panel into place. Got all the spots where we're going to be welding ground down. Got this all cleaned up where we need to weld to. I might throw some weld-through primer just on the backs here. I had to grind these down just to clean them up. So let me throw some weld-through primer on the backs here. So I just threw some weld-through primer on the back side of the panel here. And I'm going to throw a little bit on the front side. It's going to be sliding up underneath the panel. Let this dry for a minute, then we're going to get the clecoing it up into place. Alrighty, I've got this entire thing clecoed back into place where it should go. So right now we're going to start tacking it in where we've got good connections with the metal. I might clamp it, tack it, clamp it, tack it, clamp it, tack it. Down along here it's all nice, so I'm probably going to start right along this edge and just start tacking in these holes we drilled to hold that in place. We need to work our way all the way around this panel. Up here is probably going to be the toughest part because we have a slight bit of a gap right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack it, and hopefully the heat will give me enough ply in the metal where I can tap this down where we pick up some of the gap. But I want to make sure it's all nicely sealed as best I can. It's nice and tight all the way along here, all the way down here. So we're going to start right here. So I had a big gap right here. Applied a little heat, stretched the metal right down in, came out perfect. Beautiful, fully welded in. Now we have to break out the grinder, start smoothing these welds out. All right, so check this out. We have this panel 100% completely welded into place. I've got it welded all along the firewall seam right here. That came out perfectly just like the factory. We had a bit of a gap right here, but all I did was heat this up a little bit and hit a couple with the whacker, the old Tanya Harding in here, and that brought it right down. So now there's no gap all the way along here. This is going to be completely welded in along here. All the way up here has been welded in. These are all going to get ground smooth. You can kind of see there's like a little divot in here. So this divot is meant to have be tinned over top of that, but we're just going to use body filler. Once we sand this smooth, we're just going to body fill right over here, and you're never going to see that seam at all. So that's coming out really good. We've got this, the inner structure, all welded to the actual outside panel. Right now I'm going to grind this lip off so it's flush, and we're going to make sure all these are nice ground smooth here. And there's still a couple holes, but I didn't want to touch these holes until after we had this ground down. And I'm going to have it wrap around just a little bit so there's no gap or anything. So right down here is actually perfect. And it's just a slight overhang right up here. So if we are off, we're not off by that much at all. And this panel's nice and smooth. So it's coming out really good. You can see the side shot. It looks really nice. All right, so as you can see, this thing's completely welded into place right now. So the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna spray some epoxy primer over all the weld joints just to keep it nice and secure until we do finally get to the rest of the bodywork on the truck. So we're gonna just spray down the seams. I don't need to spray everything down, maybe I will, I don't know. And this thing will be 100% complete. I'm actually using self-etching primer. It's just something I have on hand right now. It's just some Rust-Oleum primer. Alright everyone, that's going to be a wrap for this video. As you can see, we got the driver's side panel 100% completely replaced. It came out absolutely perfect. All the welds are going to be covered up with filler once we do finish the bodywork on the truck. I've got everything primed on the inside of the panel and the outside of the panel, so it should not rust anymore. So coming up in next week's video, we're going to go through the entire POR 15 process of degreasing, metal etching, and painting the entire cab floor to make sure that's got a nice coat of paint all over it. So as always, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Smash that big red subscribe button, smash that bell icon so you know when I do post future videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.